Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 53 based on novel. So let's start. The next day. At the first glimmers of dawn, Tang Wulin set forth to meet with the delegation from the Blacksmiths Association. The blacksmiths competition kicked off the start of the tournament. After participating in that event, he would have to rush to the individual competition. Following that would be the team battle in the afternoon. Tang Wulin's schedule was packed full. As such, there was no time to spare. He hurried to find Center Yu right after cultivating the purple demon eyes and eating a heaping pile of breakfast. Sporting a 6th-rank blacksmith's badge on his chest, Center Yu led the procession of blacksmiths like a hen leading its chicks. Because they were the youngest, Tang Wulin and Mu Shi stood at the back of the line. Senior disciple sister, do we have to wear our badges? Tang Wulin asked softly. Mu Shi was currently flaunting her own. Dyed in blue hues, it was adorned with 2 striking white stars, signifying her status as a 2nd-rank blacksmith. Once she reached the 3rd rank, Mu Shi would be bestowed a badge dipped in the orange glow of dusk, decorated with 3 yellow stars. The outline of a blacksmith's hammer was a constant theme among the ranks. As a 4th-rank blacksmith, Tang Wulin's badge was orange and displayed 4 yellow stars. Oh, that's right. Dad told me to tell you that you must not wear your badge. If possible, hide the fact that you're a 4th-rank blacksmith. He only wants you to place in the top 3. That way, you'll qualify for advanced competitions in the future. Mu Shi lowered her voice as she answered. Zheng Qianlin faced her and smiled. Junior sister Mu Shi, you're still worried about your placement? Let's go compete in the Shrek City's comprehensive blacksmiths tournament later. The moment Zheng Qianlin spoke, the girl's arrogant demeanor vanished like a dream. The tense wrinkle on her delicate brow transformed into a gentle smile. It was quite flattering. Mu Shi said, "Amen, sounds good. Good luck, senior disciple brother." Zheng Qianlin's teacher was East Sea Blacksmiths Association's other saint blacksmith. He was also the vice president of the association. However, since he was a 7th-rank blacksmith, his strength was a slightly less than Mu Chen's. Acknowledging his talent, Mu Chen had given Zheng Qianlin some pointers in the past. Mu Shi treated him like a senior disciple brother because of this. Zheng Qianlin laughed, shifting his gaze at Tang Wulin. Why are we bringing this brat? Is it so he can experience the world? Anyway, can he even lift a forging hammer at his age? Tang Wulin cursed Zheng Qianlin in his heart. Even if you're trying to talk yourself up, you don't need to belittle me. Despite feeling indignant, Tang Wulin kept silent since he didn't want to cause trouble for his teacher. Mu Shi couldn't ignore this. Even though she constantly picked on him, Tang Wulin was still under her father's personal guidance. With a cold snort, she said, "Senior disciple brother, you questioning my dad's decision? Wulin is my dad's direct disciple. So, do you still think he can't lift a forging hammer?" Zheng Qianlin gawked. Never had he expected Tang Wulin to be Mu Chen's disciple. After gathering himself, a trace of jealousy flashed through his eyes like an electric bolt. Mu Chen was an outstanding figure in the continent's blacksmithing world. Including those who hid their status, there were no more than a dozen saint blacksmiths. Similarly, 8th-rank blacksmiths totaled to 4 individuals. He wasn't only kissing up to Mu Shi because he liked her. Her father's lofty position was also factored in. Since his own teacher was a saint blacksmith, acquiring the aid of Mu Chen would greatly increase his chances of reaching a similar level. It was preposterous to believe that the 10-year-old boy was actually the direct disciple of Mu Chen. This was the same Mu Chen who had refused to accept a student for several years. In Zheng Qianlin's thoughts, this legendary figure only intended to nurture and guide his daughter. No way. You look just like a little kid. Well, I'll be awaiting your performance. The corners of Zheng Qianlin's mouth quirked up in an imitation of a smile, but his eyes revealed his hostility. Why is this guy acting like this? I don't remember offending him in any way. Tang Wulin was baffled, but soon he understood how his teacher had been protecting him. The tasks he accepted came from a special channel. Such preparation was made to shield him from the eyes of jealous hawks. The only way to solve this problem is for me to become stronger. Once I'm strong enough, then what do I care if others are jealous? The blacksmith's competition was held in a small gym near Sky Sea Stadium. Tang Wulin trembled like a newborn calf when he entered the area. Over 100 forging tables were set up as far as the eye could see. Moreover, they were all from the newest generation, flaunting features superior to the one he usually used. His prior experience with this technology stemmed from the advanced tables of the association. Although the Sky Sea Alliance lacked in powerful individuals, it still possessed overwhelming economic influence. There weren't many spectators in the stands. To the public, blacksmithing was neither interesting nor important. People were more drawn to soul master battles, mecha crafting and other exciting things. Forging was a dry and dull affair in the eyes of the general populace. Considering Mu Chen's status, such an event was too insignificant for him to attend. However, the stage was filled with blacksmiths that Tang Wulin didn't recognize. What was more amazing was that they were all blacksmiths of the 5th rank and up. Senta Yu had already explained to him that the first round required proficiency in the 100 refinements. As long as he forged like usual, he would pass. Tang Wulin didn't feel any pressure at all since he was already a 4th rank blacksmith. The junior division's competition was held first since 100 refining was a short process. Still, when the metals to be forged were delivered onto the stage, Tang Wulin was startled. It was a metal he was familiar with and was the one used in his 4th rank blacksmith exam. The metal was blue coppertite. Among uncommon grade metals, blue coppertite was one of the hardest to forge. As expected of the junior division competition. Junior division participants, pay attention. Your objective is to 100 refine this metal. Anyone who fails to do so will be eliminated. Of those who succeed, the best will be selected to continue to the next round. Regardless of the particular event, everyone attending the Sky Sea Alliance tournament had their eyes peeled for the adult division's competitions, as those contenders were the most formidable. For this reason, the arrangements for the junior division were simple and fair. Indeed, requiring the competitors to 100 refine blue coppertite would weed out the sparrows from the eagles. Since they would be picking the cream of the crop, the number of individuals advancing to the second round wouldn't be large. I wonder how many people will make it to the next round. Tang Wulin glanced at Mu Shi, whose station was next to his. Mu Shi's brows were creased, but her aura was as serene as a flowing river. She had already been somewhat successful in the 1,000 refinements, so 100 refining blue coppertite wasn't a challenge for her. Let the competition begin. Following the proclamation from the stage, all of the young blacksmiths participating took out their hammers. If he wasn't in a rush, Tang Wulin would have wielded his tungsten hammers, but he needed to register for the individual competition right after. He unleashed his heavy silver hammers instead. He lightly tapped the blue coppertite lightly with his left hammer, issuing out 3 crisp notes. His next strike followed afterward, smashing the metal with considerable force. A loud bang resounded throughout the gym. Without a doubt, Tang Wulin was the first to begin. Situated next to him, Mu Shi was not concerned. She was familiar with this freak's surprises and expected him to possess a thorough understanding of blue coppertite. The big shots on the stage, however, couldn't help but wrinkle their brows, foreheads scrunched up like prunes. An energetic, white-haired old man frowned. Children will be children. Doesn't he know that he needs to thoroughly understand blue coppertite before beginning? Just who is his teacher? That's right. From the sounds of it, he shouldn't be lacking in strength, yet he's so impatient. But I guess it's to be expected considering his age. Regardless of their disapproval, they soon witnessed Tang Wulin forging at full steam. As soon as Tang Wulin begins forging, he would lose sight of the rest of the world. Trapped in this tunnel vision, he would devote his entire focus to his craft. He failed to realize that no one else has started forging besides him. Nevertheless, Tang Wulin was already unleashing a tempestuous shower of hammer strikes on the blue coppertite. A queer expression slid across Mu Shi's face. This guy? I shouldn't have picked the spot next to him. Every blacksmith had their own rhythm. They would suffer from any outside disturbances. Cramming so many participants in a single stadium to forge simultaneously was to test their focus. If Mushi was this disturbed, then wouldn't all the other blacksmiths nearby be troubled too? Tang Wulin's hammers were as swift as the wind, each strike carrying over 600 kilograms of force. With each hit, a boom reverberated throughout the gym, the sonic waves piercing the air. Mushi paused and sat cross-legged, biding time. Although the competition had a time limit, she knew that Tang Wulin would finish soon. She might as well wait for his 100 refining to complete. That way, his forging would not affect her concentration. Mushi was able to retain her composure, but the same couldn't be said of the other junior participants. Some chose to steel themselves and forge anyway. This kind of impatience would be their downfall. In the end, Tang Wulin's influence manifested as defects in their forging. While blue coppertite wasn't the hardest of metals, the main reason it was so annoying to form was its constant transformations. As a result, Tang Wulin took advantage of his heavy silver hammer's special ability, the stacked hammer effect. This way, he only needed 100 or so strikes to finish 100 refining it. He put away his hammer and raised his hand. The staff member in charge of supervising the competition ran over, stumbling over his own 2 feet. "You're finished?" The staff member retrieved Tang Wulin's number plate. Disbelief clouded his face when he saw the blue coppertite's reduced size. Tang Wulin asked, "Can I leave now?" "You can since you're finished. But are you sure you're done 100 refining it? If you don't succeed, you'll be eliminated," the staff member reminded kindly. "I'm certain I succeeded," Tang Wulin answered without a missed beat. Considering his current blacksmith rank, the 100 refinements was nothing to him. The white-haired old man was the first to speak out from the stage. "Bring that child's product over here. If he isn't spouting nonsense, then he's really a terrifying genius." At first, he thought Tang Wulin was rude and impetuous. However, as a saint blacksmith, he noticed the music in each strike of his hammer, the steady rhythm with which it beat. It was the innate rhythm of a blacksmith. When a blacksmith became in tune with their individual tempo, their forging efficiency would double. Blue coppertite wasn't easy to refine. Yet, Tang Wulin had still refined it. As such, wouldn't the result be spectacular? Afterward, the refined blue coppertite was brought onto the stage. The people sitting on stage were all influential figures in the world of blacksmithing. At that moment, their gazes converged on the chunk of metal like rivers to the sea. This blue coppertite was a beautiful metal. In order to judge its quality, one must scrutinize how evenly its patterns were distributed and how close to the center its rings landed. That was as thorough of an inspection as it gets. As long as the ring was centered, the 100 refining was a success. The reduction in size only served as further proof. The white-haired old man lowered his head, carefully examining the blue coppertite. He held it in his palm and caressed it with gentle fingers, feeling the grain of the metal. His eyes lit up. "This is a high-grade 100 refined piece. Quickly, go find out which association that child belongs to." By then, Tang Wulin had already left, feet in a blur as he hurried off to Sky Sea Stadium. The gym wasn't far from his next destination. H even planned out his route the night before, all for the sake of not being tardy. There was still time before the individual competition started. After all, his forging went by without a hitch and he was the first one to finish. Moreover, according to his number plate, he would be participating in the 3rd heat of the first round. Due to the significant number of competitors, several heats were compiled with each heat consisting of 50 contestants. Appearing in the 3rd heat would mean he had at least an hour to relax. Like other event grounds, Sky Sea Stadium was holding separate yet concurrent competitions. Only in this way could the Sky Sea Alliance tournament be finished within a reasonable amount of time and accommodate its vast amount of competitors. Once he reached the stadium, Tang Wulin headed toward the check-in area to begin preparing for the competition, but a figure obstructed him. HMPH. A cold snort sounded and Tang Wulin raised his head to see who stood in his way. It was a baleful Yi Xinglan directing a murderous glare at him. Xu Lixi stood beside her. To the untrained eye his aura exuded innocence, but underneath the layers of goodwill and plump cheeks was a hint of bitterness. "I've finally caught you. Do you have anything to say for yourself? Yi Xinglan stood with her hands on her hips. Her long eyebrows stood erect as her eyes blazed with fury. Say what? I don't really know you that well anyway. Tang Wulin remarked with indifference. Stop blocking the way. I need to go prepare. You competing? Yi Xinglan tried to shove Tang Wulin by his shoulder, but she was unable to. She was astonished to find that his body was as heavy as a stack of steel. He didn't budge a single inch from her push. When Yi Xinglan recalled the events of the night before, her eyes grew sharp, anger tinting them red. She had never felt so wrong before in her life. That night, the shop owner had stopped them and demanded payment. Neither she nor Shulishi had any money on them. In the end she resigned herself to calling for help, teeth grinding together in frustration. Adding to her indignance, the shop owner was convinced that they had planned to dine and dash from the very beginning. In any case, the two children were forced to wash dirty dishes until someone came to pay for their meal. The only other option was to continue until their debts were paid off. The pitiful, delicate-skinned Yi Xinglan could only weep as she rubbed and lathered the dishes until they were squeaky clean. Not daring to break Shrek Academy's rules, she swallowed down her anger. Though hard to admit, paying for her meal was justified. They were in the wrong, so how could she make a scene? Thus, two students of Shrek Academy ended up washing dishes in a seafood restaurant in Sky Sea City. The very memory of it caused Yi Xinglan grief. She blamed the entire agonizing experience on the boy before her. First thing in the morning, she had dragged Shulishi out to find Tang Wulin. Although at first they had no clue where to start looking, they soon realized one important fact: Tang Wulin was a competitor. Therefore, he would undoubtedly be at one of the event grounds. Sure enough, they found Tang Wulin using this method. Why wouldn't I compete? What are you trying to do by blocking the way? Tang Wulin frowned. Yi Xinglan resentfully said, Didn't you say you would pay the bill yesterday? So did you? Did you pay the bill? Tang Wulin said calmly, I paid for my share. Why should I have to pay for yours? It was Shulishi who originally promised to treat me anyway. I just left after paying for myself. What's wrong with that? Didn't you eat too? Since you were trying to take advantage of me, then why are you spinning it the other way? Do you have a problem with me paying for my share of the bill? You don't even want to be friends with me, so why should I pay for you? Tang Wulin's words left her in a daze. He's right. Why should he pay for me and the little fatty? I don't really have much of a case here. Didn't you say it was an honor to eat with us? Yi Xinglan quibbled. Tang Wulin said, Do I have to pay just because it's an honor? I never said I would treat you. I wouldn't have had a problem if we were friends, but you clearly didn't want to be friends with me. I didn't take advantage of you guys in any way. But you ate the most. Yi Xinglan was nearly in tears. Her resentment and indignance rushed out of her heart like a roaring river, cheeks flushing like a tomato. Who stopped you from eating more? Tang Wulin took a step forward, moved her aside, and proceeded onward with large strides. He couldn't delay any longer if he wanted to compete in the individual competition. You! Stop right there! Yi Xinglan shouted. Tang Wulin ignored her and continued straight ahead. You bastard! Yi Xinglan angrily yelled. Big Sister Xinglan. Shulishi pulled on her sleeves. Wulin's words make sense. Are you on his side? Yi Xinglan turned to face him, lips peeling back in a sneer. I'm on your side, of course. The little fatty replied meekly. Tang Wulin, just you wait. Yi Xinglan narrowed her eyes and made a fierce proclamation. She marched right into the stadium following him. Big Sister Xinglan, what are you doing? I'm signing up to compete. He was being reasonable, huh? Then I'll beat some real reason into him on the stage. Unaware of the powerful opponent he had created, Tang Wulin checked in right on time. Now all he had to do was wait. His match would start in another half hour or so. When it came to Yi Xinglan, Tang Wulin believed his efforts toward her were just and acted confidently. To him, bringing up how much he ate was illogical. Since she looked down on him, why did he have to pay for her? From the beginning, they existed in two different worlds, two parallel lines never meant to touch. The event grounds were buzzing with activity. Since junior division competitors in the individual competition wielded 3 soul rings at most, the space provided wasn't much. Each arena spanned about 30 meters in diameter. Arranged next to each other, the rings of battle showcased dazzling duels between all sorts of martial souls and soul skills. Tang Wulin watched the battles with the eyes of a hawk, understanding that every participant was a potential opponent. He possessed a single soul ring, he'd need to grasp every advantage possible to win. Not long after, the third heat commenced. Tang Wulin glanced at his number plate. According to the lots drawn yesterday, his first appearance would be in the third heat in Arena 16. A soul barrier encased the circular arena so that the audience wouldn't be harmed by any stray attacks. Although it was his first time participating in this sort of competition, Tang Wulin carried not an ounce of anxiety on his being. After his adventures in the Spirit Ascension platform and his real-life combat experiences, all he felt was excitement coursing through his veins. Just how far can I go? His opponent soon arrived. It was a petite kid shorter than Tang Wulin. His opponent's eyes failed to mask the confusion and anxiety running rampant beneath their outward posturing. Every arena had a referee and theirs was a middle-aged man. The rules are simple. You may use any means to attack without worry. I will interfere if the need arises to ensure your safety, and the result will be decided when one side concedes. In the event that participants cannot or will not concede, I will judge when one side is no longer able to continue fighting. I will also judge if the gap between contenders is too great. You both have 30 seconds to prepare. I will count down the last 5 seconds. You may begin preparing now. The moment the middle-aged man finished speaking, Tang Wulin's opponent summoned 2 dazzling yellow soul rings. Don't we still have 30 seconds? Tang Wulin was baffled by his opponent's action, since unleashing one's martial soul consumed soul power. Is he trying to show off his martial soul? His opponent's martial soul was a long, silver staff. A black dragon coiled around its length. It was the coiling dragon staff, an impressive martial soul. It has dragon in its name, so maybe. Tang Wulin's heart hammered at the thought, pushing away his last remnants of fear toward his 2-ringed opponent. His opponent seemed to have realized his mistake and quickly recalled his martial soul. He stared back at Tang Wulin. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin. Following the end of the countdown, Tang Wulin stomped forward with his left foot, launching himself like an artillery shell. He wasn't an agility-type soul master, but in that hairbreadth of a second, he exploded with speed. It took a few swift steps to close the 30-meter distance between him and his opponent. Once again his opponent released his martial soul. The coiling dragon staff appeared in his hands, yet no soul rings lit up. This was a clear sign he had yet to use any soul skills. This was because he was startled by Tang Wulin's frightening speed, completely forgetting about his soul skills. The youngster heard a cold snort before a dizzying wave swept through his brain, all while watching as Tang Wulin's fist drew closer. The golden-scaled fist glittered beneath the sun. An indescribable feeling of terror gripped him. The sudden draconic might coupled with his nervousness caused the boy to fall back onto his butt. Tang Wulin slapped away the coiling dragon staff, then, placing his scaled hand on the boy's head. Naturally, he neither grabbed the boy's head nor revealed his golden dragon claw. Stop! The referee appeared in front of them in an instant, blocking Tang Wulin's hand. Of course, the referee could feel the lack of strength circulating through his limb. You're too lacking in combat experience. How can you even think of participating in the competition like this? The referee reprimanded the pale-faced boy on the ground. But my soul skills are really strong. I thought I could. The referee snorted. Go back and gain some real combat experience first. Even if your soul skills are powerful, you still need to be able to use them. Tell me, did you even get a chance to use them? Essentially, Tang Wulin's first match in the knockout round was a victory. The referee nodded in approval before granting him a new number plate for his second match. Tang Wulin won his first battle without using his martial soul. After this match, he was brimming with confidence since his opponent had been so weak. Because he had finished his morning matches earlier than expected and the team competition wasn't until the afternoon, Tang Wulin headed back to the hotel. When he reached his destination, he found that Gu and Xie had arrived before him. Xu Xiaoyan didn't leave the hotel at all. "How did things go for you guys?" Tang Wulin asked. "Of course I won without a hitch. We're strong after all," Xie stated proudly. Gu nodded in agreement. A smile appeared on Tang Wulin's lips. "Then we've already passed the first round. Congratulations everyone." Gu said, "Isn't our goal to become the champions? Then we need to win in the team competition too." Tang Wulin sighed. "Experience is extremely important here. My opponent was a two-ringed soul grandmaster, but he was somehow defeated before using his soul skill. Of course, he couldn't believe he lost, but if it had been a real battlefield, I would have already killed him." Gu said, "The process isn't important, only the outcome is. Strength has always been a combination of multiple things, with soul power and soul skills being just a part of it. Even a powerful soul master could be killed by a child's dagger strike if they let their guard down. Therefore, actual combat experience is crucial as it hones one's reaction time and vigilance." Tang Wulin let out a chuckle. "I just hope that I don't get matched up with you next round." Gu was taken back for a moment before she regained herself, smiling warmly. Indeed, she didn't want to meet Tang Wulin in battle either. "It seems we all did pretty well. So boss, what's the plan for this afternoon?" Xie asked Tang Wulin. Tang Wulin answered, "Our opponent shouldn't be that strong, so we can just fight as we always do. We don't have to worry about our strength in the first round, we should be able to win without a sweat." The other three nodded in agreement. Long Hongxiu lead Tang Wulin's group to the team competition grounds, since Wu Zhongkong was off somewhere else. "Are you brats ready?" Long Hongxiu smiled pleasantly at the children. He did not want the children to participate in the individual competition originally, but after checking their results for today, he changed his mind. They had an excellent start to the tournament. Needless to say, he still wasn't aware of Tang Wulin's participation in the blacksmith's competition. "We're ready," Tang Wulin answered for his entire team. Long Hongxiu nodded with approval. "I'll be watching you all then. I don't know if Teacher Wu told you this, but due to the high resources invested into such a small class, this tournament is being used to test your class's success. So you should aim for the best result. If you can get a good ranking, then in the future, the Academy might invest more resources into your class. Especially you, Tang Wulin. I'm sure you're aware that you've eaten away all of the Academy's funds. So, good luck kids." Tang Wulin nodded. "We'll definitely do our best." Wu Zhongkong hadn't spoken to them about these matters, but when Tang Wulin heard the director's words, his heart stirred. Teacher Wu has been bearing all this pressure for our sake. What's the best way to repay him? Of course it's victory. The space provided for the team competition was much grander than the individual competitions. The arenas for the 3 versus 3 team battles were each 50 meters in diameter. Their opponents this time came from a small town called Seafair City, which was a level below Sky Sea City. It was about the same level as Glorybound City, but the former's economy fared much better and it managed to retain an intermediate academy. However, the 3 versus 3 team competition wasn't that popular. That was because powerful academies would all send 7-man teams to compete instead. Only academies lacking in people or already possessing a main 7-man team would have a 3-man team. This was another fact that Wu Zhongkong had neglected to tell them, which they learned from Long Hongxiu. Win regardless of the opponent? That was Wu Zhongkong's philosophy. After observing several matches, Tang Wulin and the others came to the conclusion that they had no serious competition within the junior division's 3-man team event. Nothing of note occurred while they watched. "Boss, why are these matches making me so sleepy?" Xie said helplessly. Tang Wulin said, "That's because we haven't seen anyone strong yet. But don't get careless, We're only observing one part of the stadium. Let's plan our strategy now. As Tang Wulin watched the match's progress, he formulated a plan. Half an hour later, they were called for their match. Tang Wulin led the way, followed by Xie Xie and Xu Xiaoyan. Indeed, Ji Yu wasn't participating. After scrutinizing the previous battles, Tang Wulin was confident and saw no need to reveal Ji Yu. Not to mention, their opposition hailed from a small town's intermediate academy. In Wu Zhangkong's own words, their sole objective was to become the champions. Tang Wulin understood his teacher's philosophy, and as such, regardless of their opponent's strengths, their main objective would not change. A devious strategy was required for such a goal. Since Ji Yu was without a doubt Class 0's strongest student, it was best to conserve her strength for future matches. Although Xu Xiaoyan wasn't powerful in the daytime, her awareness and team coordination were excellent. When a crucial moment arrived, she would be the one to capitalize on it. Xie Xie described her as a radiant and pretty young lady, but in reality she was a two-faced little schemer. Xu Xiaoyan's eyes sparkled at the unexpected chance to appear in the first match. When she had heard of the others' victories in the individual competition, she was wrought with envy. However, she understood that her abilities were not suited for a 1-versus-1 scenario. It would have been foolish to follow the trend. Even though the team competition's first round was scheduled today, how could Xu Xiaoyan have imagined that she would be participating? Contrary to her beliefs, Tang Wulin swapped her in. Once Tang Wulin's group arrived on the stage, their opponents soon appeared, 3 teenagers about 14 to 15 years old. When these teenagers from Seafair Academy saw the youthful faces of their opposition, joy washed over them like summer rain. It was as Tang Wulin had guessed. Seafair Academy was mediocre and focused all their resources on their representative team. When they had thought of themselves as mice in a world of men, they encountered a team of brats. How could they not feel as if Lady Luck was smiling down on them? Aren't these kids only about 11 or 12? That's a huge gap in age. Their cultivation should be weak then. In an instant, their faces lit up. The referee climbed onto the stage. You have 30 seconds to prepare. The countdown will begin at 5 seconds. The rules state that you cannot deliberately disable your opponent and you must immediately cease battle if I order so. His tone was monotonous after repeating the same thing for countless battles. My name is Mo Ka and these are my teammates, Yusha and Duan Mu Lian. You kids are from East Sea Academy. They had also checked the matchups. Kids? Tang Wulin smiled humbly. Yeah. Seniors, we're first graders from East Sea Academy. Please advise us. Xie Xie's initial reaction was to explode in anger, but stopped himself when he saw the hand signals Tang Wulin flash behind his back. Xie Xie understood his teammate's intentions and lowered his head quickly to hide his face. Xu Xiaoyan wore an odd expression. This guy? Isn't he usually an upright and virtuous captain? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, begin. With that declaration, Class 0's first official team battle began. Tang Wulin took the initiative to charge forward. Like in his individual match, he did not bother to release his martial soul yet. Doing so would cost a precious second at his cultivation level. Every second mattered and all of his actions were done for the sake of efficiency. Though he couldn't compare with Xie Xie in speed, he was not inferior when it came to explosive power. With a simple stomp of his foot, a boom resounded. Xie Xie jumped into action after Tang Wulin, all according to their plan. The two advanced in tandem, Tang Wulin in front and Xie Xie hidden behind like a shadow. Following her teammates' actions, Xu Xiaoyan grasped the light coalescing into her ice staff, a soul ring appearing beneath her. Their opponents were taken aback by the sight of the two charging toward them, without releasing their martial souls or soul rings. Furthermore, Xu Xiaoyan brandished a single ring. What are these two kids doing, not even summoning their soul rings? The 3 teenagers released their martial souls. All 3 had a pair of yellow rings. This was to be expected from the representatives of an academy. In that moment, a shining purple soul ring entered their view, blue vine tentacles swarming around them. The Seafair Academy's representatives couldn't react in time. Before they were able to activate their soul skills, the blue vines already struck at their faces. They were all tied up, their resistance bearing no fruit. Stop resisting. Xie pummeled their heads with his light dragon dagger. Xu Xiaoyan stood in the rear with her ice staff ready, but had yet to use a soul skill. Stop! While trying to contain his surprise, the referee shouted. A single 2-ringed and 2 1-ringed soul masters were able to overcome 3 2-ringed soul masters. Moreover, it was over in a blitz. It was simply inconceivable. The battle finished too quickly. It was too much for the eye to take in. How can this be? Mo Ka, Yusha, and Duan Mulian harbored the same thought. They hadn't even had a chance to use their soul skills. It's combat experience. These words flashed through Tang Wulin's mind. Compared to him, his opponents were simply too lacking in that regard. He had felt this deficiency among the contenders of the individual competition. Even now in the team competition, he felt the same. Do they not have any combat training? In truth, his accusation was wrong. All Soul Master Academies had combat training. However, their level of combat training could not compare with Class Zero's. Class Zero's standard was inching on the border of masochism, and its students were geniuses selected carefully by the Academy. Wu Zhangkong's personal guidance was also an important contribution. As he had hailed from Shrek Academy, Wu Zhangkong's teaching methods came from the same place. Because Class Zero students had been either cultivating or battling in the Spirit Ascension platform, they were shocked to find how lacking their peers were. Captain, I never knew you were so two-faced. Now off stage, Xu Xiaoyan was giggling at Tang Wulin. Wasn't it true, though? Before the battle started, Tang Wulin was already misleading their opponents with an innocent and naive persona. He had been the embodiment of the ideal cute kid. Once the match started, however, he discarded his facade and stormed his opponent, giving them no time to react. With such a devious strategy, Tang Wulin cinched victory easily. If he hadn't done this, then they wouldn't have been able to obtain such a sweeping win. Throughout the entire battle, Tang Wulin used his soul skill once. It was his 1,000-year soul skill. Tang Wulin chuckled. If I can save us some effort and conceal our strength a bit longer, then why not? Our goal is to be the champions after all. Aren't you afraid of eavesdroppers? An icy voice cut in. The trio turned to see a pair of familiar faces, Yi Xinglan and Xu Lixi. This video will end here.